Oh, yep.
Good day, fellow rockers and monsters. Welcome to the Metal Connection, a connection to all things metal. I'm J-Dub, and today on the show we're doing the 90's Revisited. So kind of the question I posed to all the guests to make picks tonight is, I just said to them is, pick 5 albums you think people should revisit from the 90's. So however they interpret that question is what we're going with tonight. So albums we feel people should revisit from the 90's. We each have 5 picks each, and we'll probably go through some honorable mentions after. So let's go away with it. I don't know if I'd put anybody on the spot, or maybe I just go first. Does anyone want to volunteer to go first? And maybe we'll just start there.
I'll go first if I'm new. I'll go ahead.
Okay, we'll start with Decimated Soul, and then we'll go work from there. We'll go to Heavy Metal Maniac next, and we'll work our way around from there. So great for volunteering, and if you want to say hello to anybody, and then go ahead with one of your picks.
All right, hello, I'm Josh Renault. I reside in Tennessee. I'm 25, and I've been metalhead since 10 years old. But I've listened to Metallica and all that probably a little earlier, but you know what I mean. Really discovering kind of a roots. All right, anyway, my first pick is Children of Bodom, Something Wild. The album came out in 1997. One of the greatest debuts of all times. R.I.P. Alexi Leo. I love the guy. All of his albums are just so well crafted, and their mascot, the Reaper, is really cool. And I'm gonna go over some of the my favorite tracks off of their album, Something Wild. Probably The Nail, Touch Like an Angel of Death, Lake Bodom, and Dead Night Warrior. Those are great songs, and Alexi really knew what he was doing with the album. Great guitar work, great vocals. His little black metal vocals back then when he first did that one. But yeah, wonderful album. Definitely check it out. Something Wild by Children of Bodom.
Cool. That's a great album.
Yeah, that's one of those. Yeah, that was one of the few albums I listened to recently. It was just like, I don't want to talk too much about it because at some point, because we are doing a Children of Bodom ranking at some point, but from what I heard of it, very energetic, barbaric, and stuff like that. And obviously Alexei's vocals, it was so tough to just, because of the kind of the black metals and how the speed it was like, for me, and I'll probably say a nitpick or something, some of those early albums were so are great, but the vocals were so dang raw. It was kind of hard to understand what he was saying sometimes. It's not until like later albums where I could really understand what he was singing and stuff like that.
Yeah, their trio of Something Wild, Hey Breeder, and Follow the Reaper is just one of the best trios ever.
Yeah, Follow the Reaper. I fucking love that album.
Yeah. Children of Bodom's a great band. I mean, I got into them around 2000, I think it was, because that's I was big into them. I started with In Flames around 2000.
That's Clint's third band.
Oh, yeah, because they were around the time of the Gothenburg sound, pretty much. Exactly. In Flames, Soilwork, Dark Trickle, all those things.
Yeah. Great pick.
Frederick.
What's up, Frederick?
But yeah, I was listening to Follow the Reaper today, actually, man. That's aged so well.
Oh my god, yeah, for something that's 22 years, it's... Yeah, I can say that's a freaking, and this might be a spoiler, it's a 10 out of 10 mellow death album. It's very rare I give a mellow death album a 10 out of 10, but Follow the Reaper gets it. Like, it's...
Great album.
I cannot wait for New Children of Bodom. I am so hyped for that. That's like the main one I'm excited for.
Yep, I've just been listening to it, so it's all depends on how fast I can listen to the rest, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Great pick. I think most of us on the panel will probably be familiar with Children of Bodom, and then maybe younger fans, maybe getting into COB, definitely need to go back and revisit that early catalog, right? So there we go, and we'll move along to Heavy Metal Maniac next.
Right on, guys. All right. My name's Dave, Heavy Metal Maniac Literal. I'm from East Coast, Canada. And my first pick, I actually went with one of my favorite bands of all time, Slayer.
Mm.
Ooh.
Right? So 1998's Diabolus in Musica. Yeah, I think this is
Oh boy.
one in their career where they kind of, they went a little like groovy. I wouldn't say new metal, but they had like more of a groove to their sound. So it was an experimental album, and I think it really gets often overlooked. And I think it's a great album. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with Slayer.
It's weird because it does have that kind of raw Rick Rubin kind of sound to it, and whatever the mixer probably is the guy he actually used.
It's honestly one of those unpopular albums with the fans, but I think it's great. So, yeah.
I think that raw production kind of like makes it harder. Like going back when you listen to it, it actually is kind of harder than it aged well. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you listen back, it's like actually a little more raw and a little rougher around the edges than I gave it credit for. Originally when it came out, people were just like, like you were saying, flabbergasted or whatever. But yeah, that was a good one. I wasn't really expecting, but yeah, obviously Slayer fans should definitely kind of revisit that, as you're saying, right?
Yeah, I think it's it's one that should be revisited. I think it's a great album.
It's certainly not their popular one or top 5 or nothing like that, or it might be someone's top 5, but not generally. It's not someone's top 3 or nothing like that. So that's definitely a good one to revisit.
Yep.
So
which album? Sorry. Which album do you guys prefer by Slayer? South of Heaven or Seasons of Abyss?
Sorry, say again.
Seasons of Abyss or South of Heaven? Which one do you guys like?
South of Heaven.
South of Heaven for me.
South of Heaven.
Well, I think lots of people would choose Hell Awaits as their favorite too, but I personally love South of Heaven. South of Heaven is my favorite.
I love Show No Mercy also.
Yep.
No, the first one, yeah. Although the high screams he's doing on some of those, well, it's crazy.
Black Magic, Face the Metal Storm, those are classic songs.
Yeah. Let's see if there's any comments here. Yeah, cool. Beck will move along. We'll go along. And we'll go up along next. And what's his name? Brian, you're up next here. I don't know if he was using an alias.
Oh, yeah, I will next time. Me or is it this gentleman? Me?
No, sorry, Mcfadden. Yeah, Brian, you're up next.
Yeah, there's two, Brian.
Yeah, the other.
Right.
I kind of picked the theme because the 90s it was really, it went everywhere with metal, the thrash, to even the alternative rock. It was just, there was so many things that were happening. Never mind the Alice in Chains and the Pearl Jams and the Soundgardens and all that stuff, which everybody knew. So everybody with a radio knew him, I guess. But I kind of went a different route. Also with the fact that Tool was blowing up so huge too from
oh no!
And, everything else with that. So I didn't pick Tool, but a lot of the bands.
Oh, thank God!
A lot of the bands that I picked for this discussion, they're all kind of in that vein, but they all had their own following, and some of them are still touring. Some of them I didn't even bother looking it up. I should have looked to see if they were still together. But I went with Quicksand, and I went with Flip. And, I had this record, and it's got How Soon Is Now by the Smiths on it, and it was just a killer cover. I have no idea where my record went, but I was managed to find my CD. And then you got a Compression album with Landmine Spring and what was the other one I was big on? I can't see. I got 3 lights on. I can't even see in this place. Phone in My Side, Landmine Spring, Blister, Going Backward, Divorce, Delusional, and then I actually still have a Quicksand T-shirt, and then this I had on the back of my Chevelle when I got out of high school, but that was on the back of my car forever. It's probably still there because the car's still around. This was Phaser, Head on Wall, Dynamone, Flip.
Was there a Phaser? Wasn't there a Phaser? Isn't there a song called Phaser?
Yeah, Phaser's the first song.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
But yeah, I think that this is a very, very underrated band. In fact, they're still around. They still come out with new albums like once a year. They just came around on tour. I've seen them a couple times and managed to get a really cool. They look like they're in like surfing stuff, like when you buy their clothes. So like kind of like old Pacific Sunwear and that kind of thing. But they definitely still have the heavy when they play the old stuff, but the new stuff is kind of, I don't know, it's a different transition from their original sound, but I still dig it very much. So,
what genre of metal are they?
You know, I found them before Tool, and then when I heard Tool, I was like, oh, look, another Quicksand kind of band. But now everybody knows Tool, and then when you play in reverse, you play them, oh, have you heard of Quicksand? You play them, they're like, oh, this is kind of like a Tool band. So it's kind of
okay, so we're Tool sounding.
Okay, so like Tool sound. Okay, they're Tool related, but they're not really Tool. Like,
no,
like what era? We're talking. What era of Tool are we talking about? Because
demo Tool, just demo Tool, not like. No.
Oh, demo. Oh, early. Like,
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it
I
compares
was
to
Enema 100,000 Days and
no, not the newest stuff.
10,000 days. 10,000 days and Lateralis. Lateralis perfection.
Yeah, no, this isn't like later progressive Tool. Yeah, how would I describe Quicksand? They're like a very like they kind of match like alternate like an old like punk with
grungy, kind of like what Tool were a little bit early on in their career.
Very bass drum orientated. It's got a lot of the intonations and the highlights. You know, even like the even he does like solos with phases on it and all kinds of just weird like noises.
I'll definitely check them out.
That album specifically, like Slip, it became like a huge underground kind of
overnight
cult kind of thing. Like a lot of bands that kind of were around the area made bands after kind of would attribute kind of would accredit them to as influential and inspirational to them, like the newer bands came up after. Brian on the panel, the other Brian might be familiar with Quicksand. Have you ever heard of Quicksand, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably heard of Quicksand. That would have been probably something up your alley that you would have discovered. Yeah, cool. Yeah, they are cool, really cool. I know I was thinking about, I didn't actually use them. I kind of just forgot. I had so many picks, so I just, again, you could just pick 100 picks for this, but I was going to use who's very similar to Quicksand with Only Living Witness. Only Living Witness. They were kind of similar to the Quicksand kind of that to kind of hard rock, punk, like hardcore punk rock, grungy kind of that sort of stuff. But I guess I would be up next, and I'm just going to hit you guys with a banger here. Is maybe set up a little intro here. Is German band, but they kind of fell off in the 90s, and people just gave up on this band in the 90s. Very old school, iconic German thrash band.
I think I know.
I think they put out Outcast in '94. I think was very bad vocals, Outcast, and I think Endorama near the back half of '90s. That was a little more commercial, but in between these albums, Creator put out Cause of Conflict in 1995, and there's no goofy stuff going on in Cause of Conflict. There's no goofy vocals. There's no commercial stuff going on. This is just straight up old school Creator, thrashing, hard, fast, aggressive stuff. There's riffs. There's just what you like about Creator. So I know a lot of people just wrote Creator off in the 90s, and they got back up onto him in the 2000s. So for me, this is definitely something that is up in the alley for it's something, an album that people should revisit from the 90s because, like I was saying, Endorama was, I think, pretty commercial, and then Outkast kind of had the weird vocals going on. I can't even really listen to Outkast too much, but there's nothing wrong with Cause of Conflict. This one definitely needs to be revisited. So, yeah, this is good straight up thrash, no screwing around. Yeah.
What album do you recommend by them as someone who's never listened to them?
Right, this would be fine. Anything Coma of Souls obviously is a really popular one. Anything before Coma of Souls, yeah. Extreme Aggression is if you want to go for it. If you want to go for it, go for Extreme Aggression. But if you want to ease into it, this would be a nice ease into a record, I guess, I suppose. And then once going back, you're just going to get kind of harder and even more extreme. But this is good, definitely, for sure. This is a band name.
That's a band name that's always been tossed around, but I've never actually got to listen to them, so I'll definitely have to check them out.
Yeah, they're really good. They do one of the best metal covers of Number of the Beast I've ever heard in my life for any metal band doing a cover of any metal song. This one just runs away with it. It's totally powerful. Yeah, it's good.
That's the album right there.
So are they pure thrash? Is that what they are?
Yeah.
They're pretty thrashy, yeah.
Okay. Back then, they were pretty rough around the edges back then. Yeah, just like
they got an excellent tone. They have an excellent chug. And
their newer stuff is really good. This is one of their newer albums.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't even get a chance to mention the newer ones too. Yeah.
That's nice. I like that album cover.
That's another thing. This album cover kind of looks boring too, and it really wouldn't catch you. But yeah, this is definitely a straight up Creator album. I'd put it amongst the best. So moving along, and we'll find out Brian's the other Brian.
Hi. So my first pick is going to be Seven Dust's second album, Home, released in 1999.
That's another band I've never listened to, but I've heard great things, Brian. They're pretty good?
Yeah, they're awesome. I love them.
Are they new metal? Like Slipknot or what?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. I'll check them out. Definitely.
That's good because I guess Seven Dust's a big popular album that a lot of people still love is that their third album. But I definitely still love the Home. I like Home over that one, over Animosity. So I think people always go like revisit Animosity, and then Home, they seem maybe they'll stop at it or whatever, or maybe skip it or whatever. So I love Home. Home, I definitely would choose it over Animosity. And yeah, Home had Chino from Deftones on a song, and there was Skin from Skunk and Nancy also on a song, and yeah, some nice chunky Bobby groovy stuff on some of the songs. I know I think Blender is the song I'm thinking of. And yeah, I definitely would have bought that. The new release back when it came out in 1999, I believe. 1999. So I would have bought that right back as a new release. So 23 years ago. Yeah, definitely a great pick. I'm loving to see that. I would love to get if anyone ever watches in the future and wants to do a Seven Dust ranking, holler at me, comment on the video, sign up for a Seven Dust ranking or something. I would love to get involved in the Seven Dust chat, so that'd be cool. Great pick. And so we'll move along to Damage Incorporated.
Yep, good on me. Yep, I guess Jar with a monologue is pretty much. I don't know if many people will know that one of the first metal bands that I've ever loved is obviously Metallica. The namesake of my channel is because of Metallica, Damaging Master Puppet. But obviously, y'all will know that they didn't. A lot of people in their eyes thought that they sold out in the 90s. Obviously, I had originally just had a bunch of basically all their 90s albums, pretty much, including Garaging, Cadescidem, and obviously the Black Album. But for me, and this was tough because technically this is counted as probably one album. They're just split into two, and obviously, it's Loaded and Reload.
That's fine. If I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, I love these albums. I love Load a little bit more than Reload. I get Reload's probably the heavier one with songs like, obviously, Fuel, and I hear people like The Devil's Dance, but, I don't really care much about Reload. I think it's another fast, aggressive, kind of thrashy song, Attitude and stuff like that, but it's songs like On Load, freaking The House That Jack Built, Until It Sleeps, King Nothing, Bleeding Me, freaking The Outlaw Torn, hell, even the ballad Mama Said, I absolutely love. That makes me put Load over Reload pretty much. But yeah, I love these two equally. But like I said, I love Load more than Reload. But I get that this is technically. Well, yeah, okay, Frederick, but I grew up with them in the 90's. And I'll basically can say this if I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but growing up, I grew up with them and thought for quite a while, up until maybe, say, junior year of high school, I always thought Metallica was a 90's band and that the Black Album was their debut because it's self-titled. Usually sometimes self-titled albums are debuts in some cases. Black Sabbath is one of them, Iron Maiden another one. So just some examples. It wasn't until my mom actually got me a copy of, it was an original copy of Electro version of Master of Puppets that I didn't found out, wait, this is a Metallica album? And it did dawn on me later on that, they made stuff before the Black Album. Okay. But I still gravitate towards the 90s stuff because that's the stuff I grew up on with them. And yeah, my pick is pretty much Loaded and Reload because technically it is one pick because they're both recorded. They were both recorded at the same time pretty much. So, yeah, Loaded and Reload.
Which album has Feel and Ain't My Bitch on it?
Feel is on Reload and Ain't My Bitch is the opening on Load.
Okay. I like both those songs a lot.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when you heard the original stuff coming from the Black Album era. I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah, it would have been drastically different.
My favorite Metallica album will forever always be Ride Lightning. Nothing can top that. I'm sorry.
Puppets, masterpiece. I like Lightning, but there is some moments where I'm like, not so much.
Puppets is, at least the song is being overrated as heck because of the stupid show, Stranger Things.
I don't give a damn. I still fucking love Master of Puppets. It's a masterpiece to me.
My favorite song off that is Orion and probably Leopard Messiah.
Oh, I do love those songs, especially Leper.
Yeah.
I think the whole album's a perfect album. I don't think there's one bad
It really
song.
is.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Orion would be one of the
glad
best.
I'm not the. Yeah, I'm glad me and Brian agree that there's no bad stuff on Puppets. I'm glad we agree on that.
Oh no, I'm just saying I prefer Ride more. I don't know why. I really like Ride Lightning.
Ride's my favorite album too.
Justice is good too, though.
Yeah.
Damn, fuck F. Lars and him fucking up the bass.
Yeah.
Well, so what's y'all's opinions on Saint Anger? I just want to know. Y'all hate it?
Misunderstood.
Yeah, there's a few songs I like that are on that album.
I love Frantic. I can't get enough of that guitar in the beginning.
Yeah.
Frantic, I like the.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the first three are fantastic for me, and I think there's great moments on every other song after. It's just that it shouldn't have been as long as they are on the album.
Yeah, they're quite long.
Yeah, that's what kills some of their later albums when they release. It's just too much. It's too long, keep it at 40 minutes and damn, in and out. And sometimes the songs just kind of they linger, and it's just like, okay, is it over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with anything that they put out.
It almost sounds like Metallica is ready to remix the album, per se, like maybe remix it when Kirk almost seems motivated, like he's ready to add guitar solos. If anyone is keeping up on news,
yeah, that's the trend.
Right, they are playing they added one of the St. Andrews songs into their recent set lists, and Kirk has made up a brand new solo for one of the songs. So that would be really cool to actually see the album kind of remixed with added guitar solos that Kirk just kind of newly creates, right?
Is it artistic property, or is it just more milk money? You know, are they going to come out with Master of Puppets before record?
And then obviously they would fix the snare sound as well with it. But that would be interesting, right? If they remixed it, like say on a 20th anniversary, if they, or I guess 30 year or something. I guess we already missed. Anyway, let's say on like a 20-year, 30-year. If they
we have to wait till next year.
And then Kirk added guitar solos, his guitar solos.
Well, you gotta admit, he's probably gotten a lot better since he was a kid. So,
hey, heavy metal maniac!
all these decades,
I don't know if you get this much, but you give me a lot of Devin Townsend vibes.
Thanks, buddy.
And you get Rob Zombie vibes, Brian McFadden.
Oh well, thanks.
Yes, Patrick. Yes. 100% yes. I will never listen to Lulu.
Though. I love Rob Zombie. That's not hating on you guys. I love Devin Townsend. I love Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
I get the Zach Wild.
Yeah, Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
I love Devin Townsend, though.
I'll call him Kirk Weinstein from Crowbar.
Devin Townsend may be one of the most versatile people I've heard in like metal music ever.
Yep.
He can go from ambience to freaking death metal just like that. It's insane how he.
I just saw him in concert. He was devastating. He was just crushing it. He's just so fun. He's so hilarious.
He's hilarious. He's talented. That guy seems really cool.
Oh yeah.
Is that Devin Townsend you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
We could have talked about Devi. He's had some albums in the 90s.
Strapping on. Yeah. That would have been up to your guys, one of your guys' picks. So, you're next, so.
You'll hear something crazy, Jamie. My picks came up just as soon as Clint asked me about the only part of the video. I was like, albums just popped in my head, just like poof. I was like, 90s albums. So like, all right, I got this. Just off a dome.
Wait and see if he picks Caius.
Do what?
I'm waiting to see if you pick Caius.
What's Caius?
I love
Caius. It's the band with a whole lot of people that developed.
Oh, Kiss?
Caius.
Hmm.
Sky Valley.
What are they? What genre?
The Desert Rock. They created it. The guy
Desert
from
Rock.
Desert Rock. Yeah, there's all kinds of documentaries on it. You can
right.
You
know what I think of when I think of Desert Rock? I think of Horse with No Name.
Queens of Stone Age came from them, really.
Yeah.
And then there's Reed. I think he played the bass.
Queen's Stone Age?
Yeah. Josh was the guitarist in Caius. KYUSS.
Oh, I was? I'm just kidding. My name's Josh, though.
Who's next?
Oh, is it my turn?
Yep.
Okay. My next pick, this is an easy one for me because it's my second favorite band. Nile, Amongst the Catacombs of Nefrika.
Oh,
This album I listen to almost every day on my CD player. I cannot get enough of Carl's vocals. I love Dallas Taller Wade, but man, Carl, when he just all him, it just shows how talented that man really is. Just doing his guitars and his lows, just that atmosphere of Amongst the Catacombs of Nefrika is just one of that, and Black Seeds are the most Egyptian sounding albums ever, and I love that.
Oh yeah, there's a reason they're pretty much called Egyptian.
I know, but I'm saying those first two albums, they actually had like choirs and stuff, and like went all crazy tribal stuff. So I love that. Anyways,
always my favorite.
Do what?
Black Seeds is always my favorite.
Black Season is incredible, but the album cover is incredibly looking. I love Amongst the Catacombs in Africa. I think it's one of the greatest debuts ever, in my opinion. I'm a big technical death metal fan, so. But my highlight songs off of that is Ramses, Bringer of War, Bara Underzua, Opening of the Mouth, Howling of a Djinn, and Serpent-Headed Mask. I think that's what it's called. But yeah,
Is there a lot of Egyptian symphonic parts and stuff like that? I'm not familiar with that.
A lot of chanting and stuff from like tribal stuff. It's crazy.
You're not familiar with Nile Gang?
Not the earlier stuff. No, I checked. I checked out like their later stuff, and it's just a little like too extreme for me.
Oh, okay.
I understand that.
I couldn't find a groove. I couldn't find a groove with any of the music, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Check the early stuff out.
It's very technical. I don't blame you. It could be a little too heavy. I say that to a lot of people who I recommend Nile to. It's like they're pretty heavy up there, man. But his guitar work, Carl's on that album is just phenomenal. And I believe the album came out in 1997. And I highly recommend people check that album out if they like metal, at least. It could handle some rough, low vocals and beautiful guitar melodies and just brutal drums. Just fantastic. Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
All right. So.
But did they eventually drop that stuff and kind of get even heavier after those albums? Is kind of
Yes, they did get even heavier. They got more.
I would have checked out the later stuff, right? So that's what I'm like. Maybe the earlier stuff's actually kind of a little bit lighter. Maybe I should check out the earlier stuff.
It's still pretty heavy.
Yeah, good recommendation.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. I'm not gonna lie.
Still straight up.
I love Nile though. They're just such an incredible band.
That's some good
Well,
choices.
when you mentioned the Egyptian, it piqued my interest because there's a band I love called Melechesh.
Yeah, Metallica. Yep.
And they're Egyptian kind of black metal, right? So I'm like, oh, if I can get some of that sound in there, I'm in,
That's
right?
cool.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're like Egyptian blackish metal, and they have like Egyptian kind of symphonics going on and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, if I can get that kind of sound, I'd be interested.
You actually may like Nile's early work, man, Jamie. I don't know, but they are heavy still. But they do got a lot of Egyptian vibes, more than now ever.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I'll definitely remember that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, great pick. Definitely interesting. And then Heavy Metal Maniac, you're up next.
All right, I'm going to go with my next pick's actually a Canadian band. I'm going to go with Annihilator.
Yeah.
Nice.
Set the World on Fire, okay, 1993. This is where Annihilator kind of started with their, obviously during the 90s, a lot of bands changed their sound, obviously, to adapt to the 90s, right? So this album had more, again, not as thrashy as their first two albums with Alice in Hell and Never Neverland. Obviously, those two are thrash, those are masterpieces in my mind. This album is still quite good. It's just toned down a little bit compared to their first two albums, and it had more of that, I guess, more of a groovy sound, I want to call it. And actually had quite a few slower songs on the album, actually fairly slow compared to what you would think from the band, right? So, but overall, it's actually a really good album. Yeah, they changed quite a bit during the 90s, and then once the 2000s hit, they started ramping up the heaviness again and brought back kind of the older sound. But definitely the 90s albums, this one and King of the Hill, and obviously Never Neverland. But Never Neverland was 1990. That still had that 80s kind of sound. But yeah, this is Set the World on Fire. Awesome album. Definitely should be revisited.
Yeah.
Did you say King of the Hill?
King of the Hill, yeah.
King of the Hill?
Yeah.
Gosh dang it, Bobby. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Are you familiar with Annihilator?
Me, I'm not. I don't know who you're talking about. Me, I'm actually not. But yeah, I was going to say is everybody knows those first two Annihilators, and then people just kind of like drop off with them. So
Yeah,
pretty much.
even for me, I need to actually kind of pick up on mine. I'm just kind of familiar with those first two, and
yeah.
I haven't dove deep into that band. Sometimes I check it out, and it's a little too goofy for me sometimes. But
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Obviously, most of you probably heard that track, Allison Hell, right? Probably familiar with that.
Yeah, that kind of is a tongue twister because both start with Alice, and then you get Allison Hell, Allison Chains.
Yeah. Check out the title track, Set the World on Fire. It's very Allison Hell sounding. It's pretty good.
I definitely will.
I just kind of I picked up those first Annihilator albums, and I've never done a deep dive into that band. So
I'm the same way. I started buying them, and I just dropped off it.
There you go.
Other things. I'm so overwhelmed. You're trying to listen to everything, and you can't.
Yeah.
So he's even talking to us like, I need to revisit it. Brian wants to revisit it. So hey, that's exactly the name of the show. It's what we're name of the topic here. So that's perfect. That's great. I'd like to revisit that myself. So that's cool. And Brian, if you want to go up next.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that. My daughter came running in here and giggling. Sorry.
Sticking again with the same vein of Tool, not Tool, right? So there's another band that came out. I only managed to have 2 albums. I don't think they might have 3, but I fell out of touch with them because I found all kinds of doom and stoner metal stuff that I just prefer a lot more. So, but I picked Ultra Spank. Have you heard of these guys?
Ultra Spank, yeah.
The singer's very similar to Maynard, without totally ripping it off. Drummer's really good. They have more of a computer sense, maybe a touch of like industrial flavor to them, with some little spices and a lot of the really heavy guitar work with a lot of high intonations again with making noise.
Thank you.
This album I don't like as much as I like the original debut, but there's really it's just a lot of noise, but it sounds pretty good on, depending on your mood and your day. But
I'm sorry, Brian. Can we go over who this is again? Because I did not get to hear anything. My daughter came running rampant in here. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I guess you can rewind it later, right? But Ultra Spank.
Ultra. Okay.
Spank.
Ultra Spank. That's a weird title band. Okay.
They have a song on it that was on the local. Remember when it's way back in the beginning of even cable when they had the music stations.
Yeah.
It used to be on that music source all the time. They used to play the song "Slip," and that was that's kind of what got me into them. But
Ultra Spank. That's an interesting band.
They're
That's
heavy.
They're
real heavy. So I can't really. I don't know. Take like Tool and 9 Inch Nails, mash them together. That's kind of what they kind of were going for, I think.
I just have gotten 9 Inch Nails this year, believe it or not. I've missed out my whole life on them. They're pretty good.
Yeah, you would like Ultra Spank. They're good. They're new metal, industrial metal.
They're definitely
okay. I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, this one came out in I think it was 93.
What year is that? 98?
Yep.
98. Ultra Spank was 98.
I looked at all this stuff last night and I can't remember a thing about it.
Yeah. I know I can be that way with certain things. I'm pretty good. I'm good with years, but I'm bad with song titles and stuff.
Yeah, you nailed it. It is 98.
I'm good with years, so I'm bad with song titles.
Some of Niall's song titles are beyond long.
Band members, I'm not usually that good with band. I can't riff off band members.
A lot older than that. But my friend got into him almost immediately, and he was the biggest Tool fan I've ever known. And then I found the CD. He liked it more than I did. I just gave him the CD. I was like, "Hey, you can have it. I'll go get another one."
That was nice of you.
Yeah, he was my brother.
I was gonna maybe know like maybe something like that even kind of influenced like Linkin Park and stuff. You know, get people bands like that like came a little after. You know what I mean?
Right.
That kind of incorporated industrial sounds, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like so, it could have been influential to like the next generation that came after, namely like Linkin Park, right, and stuff like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, everything was getting touched by industrial. I mean, you know, you had Ministry with the, you know, the Psalm 69 was huge in the '90s. I mean, you couldn't swing a dead cat without hearing that on my local radio stations. You know, Jesus Busts Hot Rod, or yeah, what was the other one? Oh, Just One Fix. So they were heavily touring too. But you know, it just seemed like everything was going in this industrial direction, and I'm like, you know. Where's the metal? Where's the thrash? Where's this? Where's that? It just everything was just starting to clone each other, and it did exactly what grunge did. It got pretty much oversaturated and lost a lot of interest with you know, upcoming consumers, because it's just I don't know. It was a short-lived like thing, and then you have Nine Inch Nails still running with the ball with that. So I don't even know if a lot of these bands, like I said, carried well into the 2000s or 2010s or even still around. I have no idea. You don't really see a whole lot of industrial bands anymore.
You talking about industrial is making me think of that horrible Morbid Angel album.
Oh wait.
Something like that.
Volgore. That's the only song I like is Existo Volgore.
Oh, wait! Don't laugh.
Oh, I agree.
Hot topic, bullshit slogans, and Mountain Dew taglines. Fucking radical.
I got it for a good price, so.
Fair enough.
Well, let me guess, Dave. A penny?
No.
Free.
I think I paid around $15 for it. So.
That doesn't deserve to be paid. You didn't deserve to pay them for $15. Like, come on, that's
It's got a few.
Yeah,
that's too pricey for that's too pricey for a garbage album like that.
God. Oh boy.
Yeah, okay, cool. Interesting pick with the industrial metal, we'll say. We won't box it in and nothing like that, but Ultra Spank, good stuff. I suppose that'd be next. And just another straight out ripper is a lot of people that listen to Razor, I guess, I suppose. They would have been from collecting the LP vinyl days, and probably a lot of them would have really paid attention to this Razor album that came out in 1991, 92. And yeah, it's just kind of an album that people should revisit if they're familiar with Razor, the band, but they're not really familiar with this album or Shotgun Justice in particular.
I've never heard of
Well, he made me nervous for a second because Heavy Metal Maniac. It's funny because Heavy Metal Maniac mentioned he started one of his picks off with this Canadian band. I'm like, oh, is he going to mention Razor? Because I know he has these albums too, right? So I'm like, oh, is he going to mention Razor too? So anyway, yeah, I just thought open hostility because a lot of people do know the classic Razor albums, like the ones from the 80s, Violent Restitution, Evil Invaders, what are the other ones? So
Shotgun Justice.
People know the 80s Razor, and they've heard the Razor name even. Like a lot of people have heard the name Razor, but they've maybe not actually heard this heard this album. And that's another thing is I'm in a lot of Facebook groups and kind of in that kind of world, and even like the YouTube community, right? People showing their collection updates. I often don't ever see anyone ever talk about this album, and no one ever shows it. Again, because vinyl in 1991 was already kind of out the door, so. A lot of people did kind of miss out on this album, so that's kind of why I kind of picked it for tonight. Is all those kind of reasons, and yeah, Razor. This is straight up ripper. There's no goofing around on this. This is just straight up kind of like It's I actually would almost even put it in a speed metal almost category. It's almost more speedy to me, like a speed thrash, rather than just like like thrash riffs and they kind of go off on a thrash riff. Like it's not that. It's like more of a speeding thrash riff. So it's more of a speed metal to me. But yeah, either way, I definitely think it should be revisited. Awesome album.
It is.
I mean, I use razors, but I've never heard of the band Razor.
Missing out.
So for speed metal, okay.
Yeah, you know, it's that whole topic could be a whole 2-hour topic on itself. Speed metal and thrash metal, and what is the difference, and how can you tell the difference? And you know, for a couple guys maybe on the panel here might be able to finally tell the difference. You know, things like
subgenres can get very, very
confusing.
Pitch rating there,
but I would think like the tempo and what's going on here, I'm putting it more in a speedy realm. But it's thrashy too. It's speed thrash, thrashy speed, whatever. But that's kind of here nor there. But yeah, killer stuff. And then we'll move along with Brian's next pick.
So actually, my next pick is the same as Brian's, Ultraspank's debut.
Whoa! Yeah, great.
The singer Pete Murray, he's my favorite singer of all time. And if you didn't know, he was actually in a band before Ultraspank called Indica, which they were a speed thrash metal band. They're pretty good.
Oh, I'm interested.
I'll check it out.
I'm gonna look that up as soon as the show ends. Actually, I'll be like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Great singer.
Nice.
Should have picked something else.
No, he's hey, it's 2 on the spot. He wasn't prepared. That was his pick. And actually, if he would have won first, you would have had to have picked another pick.
A lot of hardcore Tool
My luck of
fans.
the draw, you guys would have been flipped.
A lot of hardcore Tool fans. They hate Ultraspank. They really they don't mix. You know what I mean?
I've never heard of him, so I'm going to try him out, though.
Yeah, me either. I've never heard of him.
Yeah.
The name's really catchy, though. It's going to stick in my head like bubble gum on a shoe.
Yeah.
What a weird analogy.
Like Brian was saying, there's so much of that stuff that was coming out, right? That was the hot, trendy thing that was going on at the time. But they were early on, like it was 1998. Like it wasn't like they were coming out 2001, 2002, near the back half of it. But I was also going to mention, while we're back on the topic, I was going to mention Dope came in there. Like the Dope's first album, I think, was 1999. And they were heavily in that industrial. They were heavily industrial. Like they were just confessing their love for ministry, basically. So there was the Dope as well. There was Ultraspank. They were early on. There was Cold Chamber was all kind of an industrial.
Was good.
And then all the bands, and then the band, like the second, third, fourth rate tier bands started piling on and kind of watered down the genre, which happens in every genre, right? A genre is going to blow up, and then all the third, fourth rate guys come in and kind of water it down and kill it. So
yeah, it really does happen.
Nailed it.
Great stuff. Yeah, it was funny because when you mentioned Ultraspank, I knew Brian was going to love it. I knew Brian's a new metal guy, so I knew he was going to love that pick. Well, and then picked it himself, frankly. So we'll move along, and Damage Incorporated, you're up next.
Yeah, my next pick is an Iron Maiden album, but it's kind of the same as when I picked Load and Reload, but unlike the Load and Reload, where those are like one album just split into 2 discs, I really couldn't choose. It's 2 separate albums. I couldn't really choose between these 2 because I love both of them, and it is Fear of the Dark and The X Factor. Fear of the Dark, I listened to this for the first time a while back, and surprisingly, I actually liked it. This kind of reminded me of, because I was going through them a bit, and it reminded me of how kind of like, it's like a continuation of Self-Titled and Number of the Beast, where it's like all killer, no filler, and I absolutely loved this. Loved Fear of the Dark when I was listening to it. It's a hell of an album. Obviously, this was the last with Bruce Dickinson in it, and obviously Martin Birch, as he wouldn't be help produce an Iron Maiden now. And then you come into X Factor, different producer, obviously a different vocalist. Gone as Bruce. Enter Blaze Bayley. And oh my god, this was another great one. It's like, it's really dark, and I loved it dark, and I was, because there was a while back I was comparing it to another 11-track album, and it would be much later, Book of Souls. It both were like so neck and neck. It only took nice Dave. It took Empire of the Clouds for Book of Souls to end up winning it by 1. But that's just how good X Factor is. If it could go toe to toe with probably my favorite Iron Maiden album of all time, let's give it credit. But I love both of them. I have the CD of them. I wish I could turn my camera, but I chose not to turn it on. But I love these two albums a lot. And both are completely different sounding. And it's just, I fucking love them. Like,
it took me quite a bit to get into the X Factor. I bought the CD when it first came out. And I didn't like it at first, but it didn't take long. And it's like one of my favorite Maiden albums now. It's like great album.
The ultimate
album. I didn't know you could do this without showing yourself, to be honest. Oh, well.
Yeah, I do turn on my camera from time to time to show albums and stuff like that.
Oh, well, I guess I'm showing my face first.
Here's some CDs. These will be honorable mentions when we get to them. But yeah, I can turn my camera on. You just can't see my face until I get a new laptop.
I think the X Factor is probably like the ultimate revisit me album. Like, it's just saying please revisit me written all over it. Because
Fear the Dark too. Fear the Dark as well. It's kind of like, if you liked all the other albums where I thought it was a continuation of Number of the Beast and the self-titled, it's a freaking great album.
Man, I haven't heard hardly any 90s Maiden albums. That's bad.
Yeah,
I've listened to all of them. The worst is Virtual 11.
It still had some good tracks on it, though.
Yeah, I like that album.
Yeah. I don't know any of these albums. I know Fear of the Dark and I know Prayer for the Dying. That's like the last.
Virtual 11. Virtual 11 to me was, I didn't even want it. It's in my honorable mentions, even though I shouldn't.
Holy crap, that is cool.
That's that and only 2 tracks I like off of that. Future Real and The Clan. Everything else to me.
What a cool album cover, though. Damn.
Yes. Awesome album cover.
Different from Maiden. That's different looking for Maiden now.
Yeah. As good as the album it is, I still, when I listen to it, I still think, what were they thinking, like, talent-wise? Like, how would they hear this and hear something super magical about his voice? Because there's nothing super magical about it.
Yeah, I think the only thing where I think Blaze shined. I think the only thing is Blaze shined on songs that are a little bit more darker, and there were some darker tunes on X Factor. But when you get back to the traditional sound like they were on Virtual 11, he was garbage.
Wait, Bruce left?
Oh,
he was doing the. Yeah, Bruce went to do his solo stuff.
I thought it was just the first guy and then Bruce. I know there's 3 freaking vocalists. What the hell?
Yeah, Paul Di'Anno, Bruce Dickinson, and Blaze Bayley.
Yeah, Paul Di'Anno. I know him. I liked him in Killer and Subtitled.
Yeah, Blaze was only in for 2 albums, with X Factor being the best one he ever did.
Does he suck?
No, he's
No, he does his own thing now.
Serviceable. I think he's serviceable. Like, he does an decent job. Like,
he
did. But Iron Maiden could have picked from any vocalist in the world. We're talking the best talent in the world. How did they pick this guy? I still don't understand that. Like, you could have chose the best talent in the world, and you chose
James LaBrie. I could have lost my mind if they got James LaBrie or something like that. Like,
just talent-wise, like, every time I listen to those songs, I'm like, oh my, like, what were they thinking? Like, choosing him, I still don't know. It's good.
Rob Halford would have been good in Maiden.
They're good albums, though. They're good songs, and he does a serviceable job.
I like it.
Yeah, X Factor. Yeah, I think Blaze.
I said, I think Rob Halford would have been pretty good at Maiden.
No, he's good with Priest.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, Rob is very versatile when it comes to his vocals, but he can't, I don't think he'd do good in Maiden though.
No.
I would say
He filled in. Rob Halford filled in for a couple days when Dio was sick for Heaven and Hell.
Yes,
There's
that's right.
a video of that. Crazy. They were talking about getting back together with him. They're still talking about it. I don't know if it's a Piche or a PC. I don't know. The two brothers, they both pronounce it different, so I'm not sure even which one.
Yeah, there's Vinny Appice and Carmine Appice, pretty much.
Yeah, well, he let the cat out of the bag saying that that's still on the burner. That's still like maybe a possibility.
No, I think Rob would be too busy. He would probably kick up Fight or it's just as Rob Halford solo if he ever left.
Oh yeah, I remember Fight. Yeah, I remember Fight.
Which would have been a really great pick for tonight. I don't have it, but if I did, I might have thought about trying it. But the second Fight album would have been a great pick. The second one, like everyone knows that first one, but no one knows.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot they's gonna be on my honorable mention. I totally forgot.
A little space. I think the second Fight album is called A Small Living Space, right? And not a lot of people would know that one exists, so that would have been a great pick. Yeah. But we'll move along with Decimated Soul. You're up next, I believe.
Okay, the next pick is going to be Deicide, Serpent of the Light.
Oh, rad. Wow. Brutal.
Yeah, this album is extremely freaking brutal. Like, you could tell, like, that he was trying, like, Glenn Benton was going crazy in this album. Like, blame it on God. I still listen to that song every day, all the time.
You're bringing out the big guns there.
Yeah, it's been like heavier than my stuff. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I'm like,
heavy stuff there, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's a little heavy.
I brought my kindergarten CDs.
One of my picks is a nice heavy one.
But I really like Serpents of the Light. The album cover is crazy, but I still love it. I love Deicide. I think they're a great band. I think the later stuff actually sound fantastic too. To be honest, Glenn Benton is just a demon of a vocalist, man. But it's a fantastic album, and I highly suggest it.
Cool.
I don't have Serpents of Light, but
their debut's incredible too.
Yeah,
yes.
I think it's a good. I think it's a wise pick, I guess, because I think if Deicide, a lot of people do just kind of know that first album. I think they kind of just focus in on, but those first three were all great. I think those first three to me were all part of, like, for me, I kind of grew up with like the greatest hits of Deicide, essentially, right? Those first three or four albums. So definitely those first 3 or 4 albums to me are all kind of like greatest hits, essentially.
I love Stench of Redemption, Scars, To Hell of God. I like a lot of her albums.
I know. I really love In Torment in Hell, but it came out in 2001, I think, and a lot of people were already done with Deicide then. They wrote Deicide off. If we were to do like 2000s or something, I would probably pick like Deicide and Torment in Hell, because for me, like, people should go revisit that album. That album's awesome. So Serpent's Light, I believe that was 97, because I was trying to think, because that came out after the.
It is 97. Yep, you are right.
Because that came out after the White album. I always just call it the White album because it's the white on the front.
That's Clint's favorite. I don't even know what it's called.
I was just know it as a White album. I don't know what it's called. I forget what it's.
Once Upon a Cross.
Once Upon a Cross. There you go. Yeah, Once Upon a Cross is awesome, and then Serpent's Light, came after, and then and Incinerate came out in 2000, but then that one did made 90s, but definitely a cool pick. Pummeling Deicide still in their old school classic era, I would say. There we go.
Cannibal.
Right, yeah. There definitely be some Cannibal Corpse to revisit, like the ones where the first couple ones where Corpse Grinder joins in there with Vile and Unleashing the Bloodthirsty. Those would be good ones for people to revisit.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, cool. Heavy Metal Maniac. Show us one of your albums that you picked.
All right, buddy. So my third pick, I'm kind of on a thrash metal groove here, but my next band is Jamie will probably appreciate this one. Is Corner.
Oh yeah, great.
Yeah, Grin. Okay, so for those that are not familiar with this, it's a Swiss thrash band, technical thrash. This album here was released in '93. So their first four albums were more straight up like technical, like a heavy technical thrash. Here, their fifth album was still the technical aspects of it, but it was had more of an industrial sound to it. Obviously, the '90s, right? The '90s, yeah, they incorporated the industrial sound in there.
There it goes, people back in again.
Mhm.
A lot of industrial, man.
Yeah. But it's still an amazing album. Corner is they're one of those thrash metal bands that they're like the death of thrash metal, which death is the band death.
This is opening my brain to a lot of new bands I've never heard of in my life, so I really like this.
Have you heard of Death before?
Oh yeah, Chuck, yeah.
And you haven't heard of Corner,
Right.
right?
Is that?
Yeah. If you heard of Death, you got to hear Corner.
Oh, they sound exactly like or something.
Well, no, Death was like they were the pioneers of that technical. That they're basically the pioneers of technical death metal, right? These guys are the
Oh my
pioneers.
god, then I should know it because Tech Death is my life.
These guys are the pioneers of technical thrash metal. So
Oh,
they're-
okay. Corner. All right. What's the album called again?
What's that?
What's the album called again?
Grin.
Grin.
Yeah.
Okay, Grin. Grin. Okay, I got you.
As much as he's showing the album as a good album, that's their worst album though. That's I'll say that.
What's that?
As good as that album is, and he's showing it for one of his picks for '90s, that is still their worst album though.
Oh, it is. It is. Yeah.
Well, just because Decimate's like, should I start there? I'm like, oh, no, don't start there.
Okay, I won't start there then. What album should I start off?
Right there. That one.
Oh yeah, that's mental vortex.
No more color.
Ah,
No more trouble.
Mental Vortex. That's another one. Check those two out.
Now,
Okay,
mental vortex is the one.
Grin is highly progressive, right? They started playing around,
It is, yeah.
with like keyboard intros and outros and all that kind of stuff. And
Both of them does that all the time, though, so.
which was going on at the time. Even death metal bands were even doing that. I was just listening to Nocturnus, I think, yesterday. And Nocturnus was an old school death metal band, and they started incorporating some of that symphonic keyboard stuff just as added touches. They weren't going crazy with it, so to speak. But definitely bands were kind of experimenting now, and even going back to our chat with when Brian mentioned industrial metal and all that. Even all that kind of stuff is tying into that. Even death metal and kind of different metals and new metals and stuff like that.
It's so many freaking metals, right?
So that was cool, kind of come around there with the keyboards and all that kind of stuff, progressive and kind of stuff. So we'll keep moving along, and Brian, you're up next. Brian Mcfadden.
Yeah, you guys have had some really surprising picks, really. Some really good deep cuts, too. And I'm impressed with that. Well, I went with a
Mine
super
just
group.
popped in my head, just like that.
I went with a super group.
Oh, what album is that? I've seen that.
Down.
That's who it is.
Nice.
Oh, I knew right away. I was like, down.
Wait a minute, Down. Isn't that Phil? Or am I wrong?
Yes.
Yep, it rocks.
Oh, Pantera stuff. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I got the pleasure to meet Kirk Weinstein when he played Crowbar.
Yeah.
And this is before they did the reunion, 25th anniversary that they just did. And then plus they were doing the live stream. And I was asking them, because we talked for a couple hours because we were hanging out after his set. But I said, whatever happened to Down? You know, what's going on? Who's not going in? Who doesn't want to do it anymore? And I thought it might have been Phil because he's stretched between 16 different bands, and he wouldn't say, which was nice because I think that's a professional way just to be like, oh, I don't know. So I kept rattling off the names throughout the course of this hour that we were talking about it, and he was about to go into the studio to go record that solo album that he just did with all the covers.
That's good.
I was trying to play drums for him on that, and it just the zip codes didn't work. So anyway, so he basically said it was Pepper, and I guess Pepper was gonna do some more with the Corrosion of Conformity thing, but then they ended up getting back together anyway. So it's all hearsay now. Anyhow, they whatever buried the hatchet, or he was actually he was grumpy about it because he's more looking forward to really taking them out because the album sales were still high, is what he was telling me. A lot of the younger generations finding them finally, and they're going and buying all the other albums. My favorite one is actually the second one, but that's 2001, and that didn't pertain to
90's. Pretty much.
Yeah, it didn't pertain to the 90's, but I thought that it's a superior album. It's another one of those long ones. And do I have it? Yes. Yeah.
A bustle in your hedgerow. And
that other one with the 3 stars and 1 moon or whatever it was, that was pretty good too. On March the Saints, and that really kind of solidified me as far as a fan. I really like this album a lot. I love this album, and I found it when it came out because of local college radio on Sunday nights. They were the first ones to play it, and then they'd play that, and then they would go to another. This is just a quick mention, but Clutch with their debut.
Clutch is good.
That's not the debut.
That was like all kind of the same what was going on at the time. So you could see that a lot of the underground stuff was really starting to build and getting a following, and the quality of the musicianship and the music that was coming out was it was top notch at the time. It's always there's only so often you can listen to Korn. There's only so much I can take of that. So
did you say Korn?
New music was good, huh?
Did you say Korn? What did you just say?
You said Korn, yeah.
Oh yeah, I like Korn.
Not everybody liked Korn, when it came out. But it was nice.
Oh yeah, now they took some getting used to like them. Trust me.
I actually pulled them, but I'm not going to talk about them today. I actually did pull them though.
They're not terrible, but just no.
Yeah, well, again, going back to this album, Stone the Crow. They have a video for which I really like, but Pillars of Eternity, Rehab, Temptations Wings. What was the other one now? They had the Swan Song, and Eyes of the South. So there's whole album is bang. I think it's pretty close to a perfect album. There's a couple things I would take out. It's pretty heavy sludgy.
It is a great album. I agree with you.
Oh yeah, that's a monster. That thing when that came out, it actually blew up overnight. And then he went and did Phil went and did the Phil Ensemble and the Illegals there. I think that was around the same time he was going out with them.
Yeah.
I was going to mention it's too bad. Yeah, if we were to do 2000s or something, a good pick would be the third Down album, Over the Under.
Yeah, that one.
A lot of people just know those first 2 Down albums, and then no one really knows about the third one or those EPs that came after. So third one would be a really one worth revisiting as well.
Yeah, the 4 EPs they put up for one album.
Yeah. That bugs me, right? Because I gotta buy the two. You gotta buy the 2. It's stupid. Yeah. Like just put the one on one, just make one album, but they make you buy the 2. It's
there were 4 of them, and then they built out the whole one album like after all those sold or whatever it was.
I was only aware it was 2, but
No, there's 4 of them. I got 3. I can't find the other one.
maybe it was a vinyl thing or something, but
Yeah, it might have been.
from what I thought CDs, it was just the 2. But you're there, so I guess I would be next. And mid pace show here. I'll save some of the a real good one for last. But next is, I guess a lot of people just know Yngwie Malmsteen for just being a kind of a shredder, a wanker, a shredder, all those kind of things. And
Yeah.
I think it's more the ego.
Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah.
A lot of people know like his 80s albums, and they kind of think he kind of just tailed off and was doing instrumental stuff, and they just didn't really pay attention to what he was doing. Also, he was just releasing albums in frenetic pace, and it was just hard to keep up with so much stuff going on, right, from the albums and bands. But anyway, this is 1997's Facing the Animal. I think it's 1997. 1997, I believe. Yeah, 1997's Facing the Animal, and he hired a singer on this. I don't even know who the singer is. I'll look at it here for a break. But anyway, he hired a singer for this, and the singer does a great job. These are all good songs. Like there might be one actual song, 1 or 2 actual instrumental little things, like little segues. But other than that, there's a singer is singing on all these songs. This is all like cutting edge heavy metal for the time. Like this isn't just like phoning it in, kind of AOR. Like this is ripping, kind of shredding power metal. It has kind of a nice production-wise, like it's friendly. Like it's not like raw or not. It's not like 80s raw like that. Like it's nice, clean, nice production. So it'll come across as not super crazy or technical, but obviously Yngwie Malmsteen, he is technical, he is shredding. This is very much a power metal album of sorts. Like it is almost going in that realm at a lot of times. Like it is, again, that's why I picked it. Like this is a great freaking album. So I definitely think it's worth revisiting. It's funny that he's got a little picture at the back, a picture on the back, and there's just a cat, and that's definitely on purpose. That's not just random, I don't think. So They would have set a cat free and then they would have got the cat to walk across to take a picture or something. So I thought that was a very cool picture there. He must like cats. But anyway, Yngwie Malmsteen, yeah, he's a little bit of a guy. People hit or miss. People sometimes hate him and like him. But this is not an instrumental album. There's a singer on there. He does a great job. This is shreddy power stuff. So Facing the Animal.
Yeah, he's got a really wide variety of his library.
I'm gonna look up the singer's. I'm trying to look up the singer's name here. I forget who it was at this time. Did he even say? Yeah, actually, guys, check this out. It's Cozy Powell on drums, eh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is interesting because Cozy Powell is very meticulous. He's very he wants a specific drum sound, wants it the way he wants it. So the fact that they were able to work together kind of blows my mind. But not Cozy Powell. I'm thinking of a different guy anyway. Sorry. But anyway, the vocalist on this was Matt Slevin.
Oh, I know who that is.
He's better than Blaze Bayley. So. Iron Maiden could have hired this guy. He would have done a better job. But this is a really good album. This is a smoking album. Really good stuff. Definitely why I'm putting it on my revisited list. So here we go. Brian, you're up next.
Okay.
I feel bad I haven't heard of half these bands. I feel so bad. Go ahead.
I didn't catch what you said. Okay.
My next pick is Nothing Face, an audio guide to atrocity.
Yeah, that's cool.
Released in 1998.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I've been trying to buy that. I'm trying to get it, but I don't actually own it. But I'm definitely Nothing Face was like big new metal band. Like they were pretty popular. They had their run. They had a run. I know the singer did pass. When did the singer pass? Do you know offhand?
2017.
Oh, it was way later. Okay, I thought he kind of passed earlier on, but it was
No,
later.
2017.
What was his name? Holt?
Matt Holt. Yep.
Not Holt, not Holt. Yeah, cool. There we go. 1998. And is there any banger tracks or tracks that you're familiar with that you could bust out of your brain?
I really like "Breathe Out." That's one of my favorite Nothing Face songs.
Did they have any singles? Like any music videos with that release? Or was it the next release? They got.
Don't know.
They got signed to a major label, but I don't know if it was on that album or the one after. So they would have got the record label push, I think, after that album.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one was still like when they were still kind of independent, and then they got signed to a record label, and then kind of got big after that. Violence album, that's when they kind of blew up. So that's not a good album. The one before the album blew up, of course, naturally. Always revisit the one before they got popular, right? Actually, it was funny because I was thinking, I hope you don't pick it. I don't think you'd pick it, but I was thinking about picking Stain Tormented because obviously everybody knows Stain Dysfunction and even the one after, but nobody knows Tormented, right? So always check out the album before the band blows up. The one before the band blows up. Always check out.
Yeah.
So good pick, and we'll move along. Damage Incorporated. I didn't know if he was like calling himself Ryan.
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, I'm so glad I mentioned this is kind of in relation to Iron Maiden again because we were just talking about Bruce Dickinson solo, and I just happened to realize I totally forgot, and I figured I wanted to talk about him in this one here. Accident of Birth and the Chemical Wedding. I feel like these two go hand in hand with each other because it's obviously this is at the tail end of Bruce's solo career before he goes back. Him and Adrian, because Adrian is on both these albums, along with Royce and his band, the Tribe of Gypsies, and all that stuff. But it's Bruce back into the metal scene before he rejoins Iron Maiden, obviously. And my God, both are fucking amazing. Yeah, I got mine. I'll turn on my camera. Mine has a slipcase. Mine is the which version is this one? Oh yeah, this is the 2-disc version. But yeah, it all.
Chemical Wedding 90s though? Is it Chemical
Yeah,
Wedding?
these are 90s. Not Accident of Birth is 97.
No,
Chemical Wedding is 98.
Oh, I thought Chemical Wedding was 2000.
No, they're from 90 to 90. They're like 90s.
90s.
It's solo.
Yeah, these are. I personally like Chemical Wedding too, and Accident of Birth. Fucking love.
So are these Bruce Dickinson albums? Is that what these are?
Yep, got Adrian
Definitely
Smith
gotta hear
and
it.
Roy Z on the guitars on both these albums, actually.
That's a cool album cover.
Yeah, I think this was Derek Riggs, I believe, did the album cover for this. This is a Derek Riggs album cover for Accident of Birth. They get Derek Riggs back into doing a Bruce Dickinson solo album, and like I said, Bruce is at this point back into the metal stuff, and it's just these are easily the two best. The two, obviously, that they're his best solo albums, like ever. Everybody I've heard say these are his best solo albums, pretty much. But yeah, Bruce Dickinson, Accident of Birth, and The Chemical Wedding, fantastic albums. I love them. That's my picks.
Those are better than the Iron Maiden albums. I'd rather listen to those than
Yeah, the ones with Blaze, definitely, absolutely. These two blow. As much as I love X Factor, these two Bruce Dickinson albums blow X Factor and Virtual 11 out of the water.
During the pandemic, I saw him doing a lot of cover tunes with like orchestrating and all this like back and band stuff. It wasn't anything spectacular, but he do like Highway Star by Deep Purple, and he did like some real old classics. I think he did some King Crimson, and I think he did like whatever his were. He did a great job. He picked some really deep cuts, but if you can find that, that's on YouTube.
Huh.
That
I'll
makes
definitely have to
sense.
check him out.
Yeah,
That makes sense because you know what's weird? You know what's weird is sometimes I'll get like a CD reissue or a remaster, and I look on the back and it said it was remastered or whatever by Bruce Dickinson, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm telling you, like I don't know what was going on, but he had a gig where he was like remastering a bunch of old CDs, like, and he'd be listed as the producer. Like, I'm telling you, he's got like his producer credits must be massive. Like, yeah, I'd like to find out the story behind it. Again, if anyone's like watching this in the future, I'm telling you, like, look up Bruce Dickinson's like production credits and stuff. It's like really weird. Like, he's worked on a lot. Like, he like would remaster the old albums when they get reissued on CD. You know what I mean? Like, anyway.
Wow.
So, it was just
Interesting.
really weird. Look it up.
I'd love for him to release a book. That guy is so highly intelligent. Plus, being an airplane pilot, I mean, like, you know, some monkey can't just start flying an airplane. You know?
Definitely, yeah. That's definitely wild. Still to think that he would air the band around on tour, right? Not air the band around. Just wild.
He's just, you know, he's a top level, I don't know, enthusiast. You know what I mean? Anything for the band, die for the music.
Nice.
All right, my next pick.
There we go. Great.
Do what?
I was gonna say, oh yeah, there we go. Great. Yeah, you're up next. You got it.
Oh, okay. My next. I'm sorry for all these heavy ones. Damn it! I should have went a little mellow tonight. Everyone else is a little mellow.
Heavy metal. We're rock, heavy metal, we're punk.
My next one's a monomorph, once sent from the Golden Hall.
Oh, the very first one.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, man. Johan Hegg's vocals on this were almost black metalish. Like, he did these crazy screams and stuff. It was crazy. The production's really raw. Victorious March is. Huh? Oh, was I hearing my own echo? Oh my god, that's ridiculous. Victorious March is one of the best songs on it. Abandoned, I listen to that song all the time. And Ride with Vengeance, really good. The album cover is really good too. But yeah, Monomorph is still going strong. One of the longest running bands that's still great to me ever since day one. So that's fantastic. And yeah, I could not recommend her debut enough. It's fantastic stuff.
That's the first album I heard from them. That's what got me into them.
Do what?
That's the first album I heard by them. That's what made me a fan.
That's great. First time I heard of them was with Odin on her side.
I'd say that's probably the least popular Monomarth album. I'd have to guess. Like, it's probably the least well known, if I'd have to guess.
It wasn't when it came out, though.
Well,
really,
it was the only one. It was the only one. Yeah.
That one, Crusher and Avenger. Those three albums were those were the albums back in the day.
I think if we were to poll 200 Amon Amarth fans and we would get them to rank them, I bet a lot would probably just have one sent from the Golden Hall probably near the bottom, just because they don't know it.
Exactly.
Because it's so they don't know it, they never went back so far, right?
Yeah.
So that's perfect up the alley. That maybe a newer Amon Amarth fan should definitely go back and revisit that.
Yeah, I think unfortunately nowadays most Amon Amarth fans are more of the newer albums.
Right.
Nah, I go back and listen to them all, man. Fate of Norn, Crusher, all of them. They still kill.
Crusher is phenomenal. That's an awesome album.
Yeah. Avengers, you too.
Hey, Mike!
I was just going to reply to Mike is that I would totally love to send you a link, but the chat that's full, the StreamYard thing is full. It's capped at 6 people.
Yeah, Mike. Good to see you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Hey Jamie, after my last album, I can go off of here and you can invite someone else if you need to.
We're basically going to be wrapping up the show at that point. We only have on our last pick, last 2 picks sort of thing. So let's just kind of wrap
I
it
was
up.
just making sure. I didn't want no one being left out.
But so we're there, and I believe heavy metal Maniac would be next.
Yep. All right. I'm going with something heavy this time.
Oh, here we go.
You may have heard of them. You probably have not heard of them. But I'm going to go with an absolutely phenomenal band that released an album in 1993, the only album they released. And kind of went away. And this album is by a death metal, doom metal band, Disembowelment.
They're good.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if some of you are familiar with this band or not, but phenomenal.
The album's phenomenal.
It is, yeah. Yeah. I really wish they hadn't made more, but they left us with a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, phenomenal album. The only downside of this album if I were to pick anything is the track lengths. The tracks are very, very long, but
exactly.
Like I'm curious how long though. How long?
8 minutes. Doom.
Like they're around the 10-minute mark.
That's normal for a band. For a band don't have, so I'm used to 10 minutes, 13 minutes.
For death metal tracks, though, that's fairly long for a death metal song.
Yeah, death doom. I think the only bands that I can think that can go that length are either bands that are death metal bands that are like proggy or melodic. You know, they're the only ones I can think of.
These guys are death metal, but they're very doomy as well. It's like death doom.
Yeah, if you're like a death doom, I can definitely see a band.
Yeah.
I've been getting into Lost recently, and they're kind of those first couple albums were kind of that death doom.
Transcendence into the Peripheral. That's my pick. That's an awesome album.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic album. Probably go down some songs off of it after we get off here.
Yeah. Cool.
Killer stuff. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with that. But yeah, definitely the long songs. That's definitely par for the course for the doom, right? You don't know
pretty much
doom songs. Yeah. Although Down kind of nipped her in the butt and kind of has a little bit of doom sludge going on with Down, but
heavy album for sure.
Yeah, great. And we'll move along with Brian Mcfadden next.
Sticking to the same vein, still with a little bit of touches of industrial with the metal. This band came out in I believe it was 91. Bought the record in Germany. I got the CD in Texas, and this is Loud House.
Wow.
Loud House. And I was just listening. The record is still on my turntable. The thing is, I can't find what I did with my sleeve. So I was looking for it earlier. I was like, screw it, I'll just grab the CD. But this is basically the Cross Brothers from Sponge, Rotting Pinata. It's the band before Sponge. So those guys are like really technical. I call them blues, but they have more of a drum rhythm section. You know, bass, I would say even. But the lead singer kind of reminds me a lot of what Perry Farrell was trying to do with Jane's Addiction, really. So you take Jane's Addiction, mix it with the blues, which almost like a Dave Navarro, and get a really good solid drummer in there, and you got this thing. Headbangers Ball used to play "Smoke on the Water" by them. They had a video. You can still look it up on YouTube. And they were kind of getting into that same vein of almost like the Marilyn Manson stuff, and
okay.
Yeah, it's just got just a touch of technical to it with the computers and even just a lot of effects, especially on the voice. But
No cow.
They only had one album, and I keep finding songs on YouTube that, it's like they have these produced videos, but they never released it on. I don't know, not that I've seen on another album. So I don't know if that's like a 7-inch single or it was just something else that they were getting ready to do. But then I remember Sponge came out of nowhere. It was shortly after this came out, and I heard Cross Brothers because they were talking about it on the radio. Of course, they didn't say anything about Loud House, but they were talking about the Cross Brothers, and they were doing an interview with them, and they were talking all about this Rotten Pinata tour. And I'm like, Cross Brothers, that sounds a lot like, the Loud House names, right? So I had a couple clippings and stuff, and then after listening to them do the interview with the two brothers, one was Tim, and I think the other one was Mike. I looked in the article, and there it is, Tim and Mike Cross. I was like, it's got to be the same band. And then eventually found out that it was, because I ended up starting to see them pictures of that band and what was coming up, because they were just brand new. It was a debut. And I was like, yep, those are the same dudes. So I don't necessarily like that. I was getting out of all that kind of stuff really at the time. But Loud House, for what it is, a lot of like Bukowski references, so the lyrics are a little out there. It's definitely a drug orientated kind of band, it's like a stoner band, but they're more like heavy metal with the leads, and I don't know, I guess some tasteful breakdowns with some good bridges and stuff. But as far as the music that I know you can find was Faith Farm. There's the Loud House, which the drums on that are they're pretty powerful. They're like a mad tribal, over and over droning. My Dad's Bigger Than Your Dad. You got TV Babies, which is a reference to Drugstore Cowboy with what's his name? Movie. His little brother was in The Blob, the remake. Something about Mary. I can't even think of his name. Oh, Dylan.
Oh, Matt Dillon.
Yeah, Matt Dillon. The Outsiders, right? So, but Drugstore Cowboys, but they have a whole song about that movie. No hats on the bed and all that. King Among the Ruins. You got the cover that they're known for, which is the Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple, and it's a fairly short album. Everything's about 2.5 to 4 minute songs. There's only 10 songs, so it's maybe a half-hour record or so.
What exactly genre are they again? Blues and what?
The what?
What exactly genre are they again? Blues and what?
They're like a metal Jane's. I put them in with Jane's Addiction. I would put them in with that kind of category.
That sounds interesting.
They're complex, plus they're tribal, plus you got to see this guy whip his head around. It's all dreadlocks. It's crazy.
Oh, nice.
He's got like the 30 Island Doc Martens and stuff. So yeah, they're definitely trying to be in the grunge vein, but they were more metal than they were grunge. And I know grunge focused mainly around kind of the blues, I guess. Yeah. They were all influenced by Robbie Trower and stuff.
Definitely look them up. Same goes for Ultra Spank.
I typically like a lot of stuff like that you're describing, so it sounds like I would like that. I like a lot of hard rock, hard edge blues, infused kind of blues infused, metal and stuff like that, right?
Right. I searched for like over 20 years trying to find the record. I finally got it just a couple of years ago, but I had to get it from overseas. You can't find anything in America. The CD is near impossible to find, and I got 2 copies, and one I actually bought from my friend, but he ended up moving, and I had lost contact with his shipping address. So even then,
anything in America.
We grew up on this together. We bought it at the same time. He bought the cassette. I had the cassette as well. So. But that's it on that band. It's short-lived. I don't know what happened. They probably didn't get along. They probably kicked the singer up, probably for drugs or whatever. Because he's done all that. I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's all there. But there's a song on there called Straw Man. Strawman, and this is before Spoon Man. This is before.
I was about to say, Mr. Pig is Spoon Man. Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
Strawman. So the Strawman theory, but they have that, and it's really grungy, like an Alice in Chains heavy. The guitar tone this guy's got is just it's sludge. It's really good. It's good. It's heavy. It's heavy enough to keep you interested. But like I said, it's a short-lived band, so there's not really a whole lot of information about them.
Hey, one-time albums, one-time bands usually are pretty good sometimes. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Remember LSD, that Love, Sex, Death? I'm a tank.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, that's another good one. I can't find that CD either. I would have picked that from an article. You can look that up on YouTube too. People totally discredit that band, and they were something amazing to watch. And they have a lot of great songs.
A lot of bands get shafted, man. I'm telling you.
Well, they get lumped in with other bands that they have no business being in, and so they don't get the right exposure really for the right consumers. I would say that happens.
Definitely, and a lot of stuff in that genre. It was like hard to where to put it. Like, where do we market this to? Who do we market this to? You know what I mean? Like, because in the '90s, nobody knew what the hell was going on. Like, what were people? What was going to be the hot topic or the hot trend? And it wasn't until kind of, Korn
all the
became
older guys were getting heavier. All the younger kids were getting heavier than them. So yeah, I do sort of vaguely remember the '90s. Vaguely.
But next for me is as soon as you mention the name Accept, people's brains just start thinking about the '80s automatically, right? As soon as I mentioned '80s, probably you guys they started thinking about the '80s albums. But this is '90s here. But Accept went away after Russian Roulette. They disbanded, or Udo left and tried to go solo, and they got back together in 1993 for Objection Overruled. And this is my album to revisit because I think this holds up with any of the, well, not maybe any, but this holds up well with the classic Accept albums.
Oh yeah,
with the ones, the Russian Roulette and Prior. I think this is just as good as those ones. So that's why I'm picking this for my album to revisit. Accept. The ones after weren't as good. There was Death Row and Predator. There's Death Row and Predator.
Yeah.
I definitely think this is the best of those three reunion albums with Udo. Yeah, definitely. And then I think Predator is the worst, and then Death Row is slightly better than Predator, and then this one smokes those ones. Yeah, definitely those ones smoke. This one smokes those two that came after. But I definitely I did an Accept ranking with Jody on this channel, and I believe I have this in my top 5. Like that would just that is just par. That goes in par with some of the classic ones, right? So I definitely think people should revisit this. They sound inspired, and Udo sounds into it, and you can even tell because when you compare this to like Predator, when you compare this to Predators a couple albums later, it's just like they just totally just seem uninterested. Like it's just. The tempo has gone down. It's way more bluesy and way more jammy and things like that. But this one, they had the energy, they had the effort. It was all there, and it was all smoking and good old classic Accept. So I've definitely put this in the with the classic bunch. It's just as good as those ones. So Objection Overruled.
Well, I've heard about Accept. It sounds like AC/DC a little bit. Maybe I've heard a wrong Accept.
Right, some of there's like even Predator. Predator sounds exactly like AC/DC.
I mean, I like Airborne, and they sound like AC/DC too.
Predator sounds very much like an AC/DC tone and the bluesy kind of riffs and things like that.
I like AC/DC. I mean,
this one is much
very good.
This one's more of an classic Accept era, right? It's got the big rock and roll bangers. Sorry, Dave? Or sorry, Heavy Metal Maniac?
Yeah, the classic Accept is not like AC/DC at all.
No.
Okay, thank you for telling me that. I'll definitely check out classic Accept.
Oh, yeah. If you were to start at Death Row or Predator, it'd be like, oh yeah, this is my AC/DC-ish. But, they don't sound like AC/DC. This is definitely heavy metal on this one. Okay. So Yeah, definitely. Any Accept fans, please revisit this. I think this is better than. Yeah, I think this is even better than some of the classic ones. So.
Yeah, it's a great album. I have that one on vinyl.
Nice.
So Jamie, you said you like thrash metal and black metal. What's your opinion on Skeleton Witch?
Skeleton Witch is cool. It's cool,
like
modern, kind of like a.
They're really cool. They're black thrash. I've never heard of that.
Thrash, kind of it. A blackened thrash, but
yeah.
It's it's not really black and thrash. It's just more of the vocal tone. It has the kind of that blackened.
Yeah, beyond the permafrost, especially.
Other than that, it's just like really high tempo, but crossover speed kind of thrash stuff. But, yeah, cool stuff. I actually seen them live. I was trying to think of who I seen them live with. Skeleton Witch. It might have been an Abbott show, and there might have been.
Oh, nice.
Abbott. Might have been
I like Immortal. Immortal's good.
And there we go. There's my Accept pick, 1993. We'll move along with Brian next.
So my fourth pick is Snot's technically only album Get Some in 1997.
The dog, yeah.
That's a cool one.
With the tennis ball and the dog? That one?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I as soon as you mention that, I feel bad because I should own that. And I don't. And
Oh, yeah.
I've had times to buy, and I'm just like, oh, I'll get it next time. And now it's fucking hard to get. So, yeah. It's like I should have got it while I had the chance, but yeah, it's definitely a classic album. It's actually, I was listening to a Manhole album a couple days ago, Manhole Terry B, but anyway, from My Ruin and Terry B, but anyway, she was in a Manhole, she put out a Manhole project in 1997, produced by Ross Robinson, but anyway, my point of all this is the singer from Snot is featured on a song in the album. Like Lynn Strait was on one of the songs from the Manhole album, so that's where I was going with that, but yeah, too bad Lynn Strait, rest in peace. He passed away, I think, shortly after in a car accident. Mm-hmm. The band got to release one album. Yeah. And you know, if you grew up in the time, you might have heard their name back in the day, but Brian's a newer fan, but you know, I'd say generally a newer fan probably wouldn't have gone back and maybe revisit the first Snot album or whatever. So yeah, definitely a cool pick. Yeah. I don't know if nobody had anything to say on that. But yeah, cool stuff.
I'm surprised that the younger generation knows a lot of these bands. You guys are younger. You know.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. A lot of them are one-hit wonders, and then they just disappeared.
When I think of Snot, I was going to pass it on to the next pick, but when I think of Snot, is they were on I think one of the first Ozfest ever, and one of their stage props, it was a giant toilet, right? So all the other band members would play pranks on Snot. They'd be popping out of the toilet and shit like that during the sets, and they'd be playing pranks on them all with this giant toilet and stuff like that. You know, Fred Durst would be goofing off, like, you know, Ozfest, right? All the bands were hanging out on the side of the stage like that. So that'd be pretty wild if anyone was at those old school Ozfest shows with Snot, when Snot was there with the big giant toilet prop. But we'll move along, and Ryan, you're up next.
Yeah. Well, this one's a little bit more kind of a sentimental because I stopped caring about him after his first 4 solo albums, but I wish I had the other one, but that's a 2001 album, but it's Rob Zombie, Hellbilly Deluxe 1. This is essentially because of Dracula and Super Beast being on Twisted Metal 4 was my introduction to him, and I thank Twisted Metal for that because the Rob Zombie, I believe, in the early 2000s for me was a guy that, you know, got me into like the heavier stuff, and that led to some of like bands like Slipknot and others, and it got more and more heavier. But freaking Rob Zombie was literally my legitimate start to freaking heavy metals. And I think this and Sinister Urge are freaking, I wouldn't say they're perfect. There's some songs on here I genuinely don't care about, some of the interlude songs on here, but songs like Super Beast, Dragula,
Demonoid Phenomenon is my favorite.
Yeah, Living Dead Girl, Demonoid Phenomenon, Spook Show Baby, Meet the Creeper, Ballad of Resurrection Joe. Probably another one, an underrated, a deep cut in Rob Zombie's. This next one, a deep cut in his career. Return of the Phantom Stranger. That is
for some reason. I don't know.
That one is I think I first saw that. I saw the music video, and it was on Past, Present, and Future, that compilation he would do. And just seeing the music video for that, I'm like, wow, that and Spook Show Baby were on there. But my God, seeing those music videos were just like, whew. I like, that's the reason why I like Return of the Phantom Stranger. That music video, it's kind of that grainy 50s look, but it's also heavy. It's like, oh my God, it's so heavy. And the music video was just so damn cool. Like, why didn't they release this as a music video? What's wrong with them? They're not. Battle of Resurrection. Oh yeah, the Battle of Resurrection Joe. I love that too.
It's so different. It's really cool though. I like it.
Yeah, like I said, I don't care much for the interludes on this one, but my God, when you get into the songs themselves, they're good. I guess you could say they're kind of good to build into the hits. Basically, every song, all the legitimate songs, banger after banger after banger after banger, just like.
The last song on is pretty cool.
Oh, the beginning of the end. That's another. It's an interlude, or so that's an outro, basically, in a nutshell.
It's decent, but for an outro,
it's. I just fucking love this album.
Sinister Urge is incredible too, though, man. I agree.
Yeah, I think it's easily his best solo album. I mean, then you have Sinister Urge, which is right on its heels at number 2.
Sinister Urge is up there too, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but I wish I could include that, but that's 2001.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my pick. Rob Zombie Hellbilly Deluxe 1.
The Rob Zombie album, I think people should revisit. Well, barring no specific era or year, would be
his beginnings, basically the best. Yeah, his beginning of his solo career is probably the best era of Rob Zombie. Hellbilly Deluxe 1 and Sinister Urge, without a doubt, the best era for him. I like the later ones. I think I like Educated Horses and Hellbilly Deluxe 2. After that, I stay away. I stay away from those. I'm just like, I'm not really into those.
I like Mars Needs Women off of Hellbilly 2. Pretty good.
That's where I disagree. I think you should revisit Venomous Rat Vendor from 2010.
I will not listen to that crap. I will not.
Probably the heaviest album, yeah.
I refuse to hear that one.
It's probably the heaviest album, Ryan, so I definitely would give it a chance. I wouldn't just
No.
Probably his heaviest album. I'd definitely revisit it.
I like Mars Needs Women off of Hellbilly Deluxe 2, though. It's a pretty good song. Okay, so my last pick is Opeth Still Life.
Nice, good album.
Opeth album, yes.
My all-time favorite song by them is Face of Melinda. That is such a beautiful ballad song. Like, everything about that song was just incredible, to the acoustic parts, to the haunting vocals of him, and then the ending guitar riff is just so good. Every single song on Still Life is just a masterpiece. But I'm going to recommend Face of Melinda, Serenity Painted Death, White Cluster, The More, and God's Head Lament. Those are incredibly great songs off the album.
Yeah.
That album.
Sorry, that album, I believe it's a concept album.
I'm not quite sure, but I'm trying to figure out the year it came out. 99?
Yeah, 99, right at the end of the 90s, pretty much.
Got close. I'm glad I got to. I was going to do My Arms Your Hearse, but I was like, Still Life was a really great one to talk about. So, but yeah, Still Life.
The fall off of my.
Yeah, that's My Arms Your Hearse. Yeah, but Opeth's incredible band. Their old stuff, like I said, is very growly and stuff, and their new stuff is prog rock. I mean, I like both of them because I love Opeth, whatever they do. I love the folky stuff they do, the death metal vocals, just everything they do is just great to me. And the songs on Still Life can get pretty long, but they're great songs. Just it's a phenomenal album. 10 out of 10 to me, at least. But yeah, that's my final pick.
Cool. Nice.
I know Opeth is a super popular band, and I'm not a huge fan of the super long, atmospheric, progressive stuff. Yep. But I don't mind some of it. Obviously, some of it.
Yeah, you're
I think literally
J-Dub. J-Dub, you need to listen to some of those early albums, like especially My Arms Your Hearse and Still Life. Yeah, Blackwater Park. Yeah,
I think you would like that one.
I own Blackwater Park. I have. I've just never really cared for it. I've never really cared for it. It's just,
well, Still Life is incredible. My Arms Your Hearse, great old albums.
Cool stuff. We'll move along. Heavy Metal Maniac. Last pick.
Alrighty. So this one might be a little bit of a surprising one. I kind of stuck with. I was sticking with the thrash metal, and then I had a death metal one. But my last pick is Kiss Revenge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah, their grunge attempt.
Yeah. Well.
No. That's Carnival of Souls.
Carnival of Souls.
The Carnival. No, I didn't hear that on Carnival.
Yeah, that was 97 Carnival Souls. This album, 1992.
Yeah, that's
so this Kiss Revenge.
Heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy. So obviously
you get it. Yeah, you get it to Unholy.
Yeah, so obviously with Kiss, obviously they're a legendary band, right? They had their 70s stuff, obviously. They had their 80s. During the 80s, They were pretty big. You know, they kind of went that glam metal route during the 80s, and they had some really big albums. You know, like Creatures of the Night, Animalize.
I love Destroyer, though. Still to this day.
Yeah, Asylum.
Yeah.
They kind of fell off the rails, though, when Crazy Nights hit.
Yeah, that's where they started. And you get to Hot in the... Yeah, right. AKA Hot in the Shit, pretty much.
Right. So it wasn't a bad album. It had some good tracks on it, but those two albums, they really... I think they lost...
Very melodic. Very melodic.
Those albums. Then 1992 hit, and they released that. And that album...
Yeah,
that's a rocker.
What?
Jamie, my phone, I've been trying to charge my phone while doing this, and it's not charging. It's 5%. Shall I go ahead and go?
Yeah, that's fine, man. You made all your picks. We're on our last round, so we're going to be wrapping the show here in 10, 15 minutes. So
I had a blast. I can't wait to do another one of these with you guys.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to wait until your phone actually dies or whatever you want to do, man, that's cool.
All right. I'll probably be back for the Bodum one when we do that.
Nice.
I'll be for that one.
What's the next one you think we have planned, guys? I mean, Jamie.
I'm not too sure offhand right now. We'll discuss that kind of like off video. We don't need to be talking about that on the right here.
Just PM me on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for showing up. And yeah, you're more than welcome to wait till your phone dies. And when you leave, you leave. Or if you want to leave now, more than welcome. But yeah. And yeah, that Kiss Revenge, that's definitely a good, people definitely should go revisit that because people are always going on about the 70s.
Yeah, that's...
I believe you guys, though. I'm sorry that my phone's dying. It's being a bitch.
Even if you're not a fan of Kiss, Revenge is a great album.
What was
I love Kiss.
Yeah,
so
they had a different. there's only I think one song on there that has Eric Carr, because before that album, he passed away.
Yeah.
So they have Eric Singer on there, and
yeah, it's a great album.
I kind of want to hear Brian's and Jamie's before my phone dies, man.
Yeah, cool. We'll get to that. Yeah, there we go. We're all familiar with Kiss, but we might not be familiar with that album. So great stuff. So Brian, you're up with your last pick.
Okay.
Still sticking with the same thing. 1992.
It's okay.
This was on 120 minutes. Plus, it was on Headbangers Ball. They had the same song playing interchangeable when the 120 minutes started. But I think it was 1992, and it's, I don't know if you can see that, the God Machine.
That sounds familiar.
They have a song called Home, and then they have a kind of a mellow song. I can't read.
How long did it take you to collect your collection, Jamie, of all those albums? That's a hell of a lot of albums.
My first CD was 1996.
When I was born.
First CD was 1996.
Yeah, the collection started when you were born.
Did you say 86 or 96?
96. Yeah, I would have been getting into tapes like 94, and then I realized tapes are getting phased out. I need to switch over, right? I'm an idiot. But I was a kid. I didn't know. You don't know these kind of things when you're a little kid. But I don't know.
I didn't even exist, so I wouldn't know.
I've been collecting since what, 86?
It's like the guys that had to switch over from vinyl and tape to sweet CDs. Like they had to switch over too, right? They're like, oh shit. Like, eventually there's a time when they're like, oh, I have to switch. Like, oh.
8 tracks to cassette. Yeah, that's true.
So
I came at
what's
the
that
tail end
called
of that.
again, Brian?
Yeah, it's this God Machine.
It's called God Mate. It's called God Machine. What?
Yeah, it's God Machine. Yep.
Okay.
I'm only aware of this one album, and I don't think there was another one. I remember we played a show in Boston, and it was at Derringer's, and it's basically like Peter Brockton.
Man, you like the one album wonders, don't you, Brian?
Hey, I grew up on all of it, man. You should see my 80s stuff.
No, I mean like only one album. A band makes one album, then they quit. Like you like a lot of that, don't you?
It just happens to work out that way. I usually catch them when they're new, and then whether they stick around or not is up to them. But
true.
So anyway, so this story is there was a God Machine sticker on the bathroom door. My friend took the whole door. He just took the whole door and took it home, packed it up.
Wow.
Just so yeah, so he could get the sticker off. I didn't even know he took it. So I went over to go get some equipment that was in his car, right? And I was like, oh, you got the door.
Oh, yeah, that was some ghetto shit. Fucking take the whole door.
Or a fucking bumper sticker. Yeah. Oh, man. A lot of crazy shit. But it was hard to find. The CD was hard to find. I still can't find the record. I think it's a one-hit wonder band, too. Yeah, I think so. I wasn't able to find too much more information about it, but they are on YouTube.
All right. My phone's 4%. I think I can handle seeing Jamie's. I don't know if I can see Brian's and Ryan's or not. I'm trying to find
scenes from the second story.
My phone. Me and Clint have terrible phone luck, man. Cannot charge our phone to save our life.
What does that stuff sound like? I don't know if you describe. What does that sound like?
Oh yeah, you didn't. Yeah.
Heavy sledge tone with some industrial stuff to it.
And
just a spice. Not even. It's not too overly produced. They're pretty heavy though, and their singer's pretty drony. Then they have some mellow stuff. So I don't know if you ever heard of VAST, Visual Audio Sensory Theater. They're kind of in that vein. So they can pop between heavy and the alternative. So they're really, it's a lot of ambient music. You know, it's a lot of background noise. It's good. It's a good listen. It's not that long. I'd say it's probably 40 minutes at that.
Hey Jamie, can you do me a favor after this whole show ends? Can you do you remember all these people's albums, what they picked? Could you send me some of the band names so I can remember? So I got Ultra Spank in my head. I got
I got a lot of other albums here, as I'm probably gonna mention them as give them honorable mentions.
My phone's I'm not gonna be able to see them, bro. Damn.
Anyway, so Brian made your pick there, God Complex, 1993, or so, I believe you're saying, 92. But it's something worth looking into, and I believe
All right, Jamie, that's all I can see now. My phone's
I often don't use one of my favorite artists for shows just because I don't know, I just talk myself out of it for whatever reason. But this time I said, screw it, I'm using Danzig. Danzig was one of my top favorite artists.
I love Misfits of Danzig, yeah.
Just squeezed into the 90s, 1999. And I know a lot of people fell off with Danzig at this point, especially after the one before this, because this is album number 6 for him. But the one before it, Black Acid Devil, was a complete disaster, in my opinion. Black Acid Devil is barely listenable as a Danzig fan, as a massive Danzig fan. Because, anyway, so whatever he was trying to do on Danzig 5, they got it right. And kind of refixed it and redid it and got it right for the next album, this 666 Satan's Child. Because whatever they were working on the album before wasn't good, but this is incredible. This definitely is worth a revisit. The songs hit hard. They kind of it's very industrial, but Danzig's at least singing. You can hear him singing, as opposed to the previous album was just a mess. It's all just all digital. But this album, he's actually singing again, mixed with the industrial. If you have a big booming system, with good bass, when this stuff hits, it hit hard, boom, it hits hard with the heavy metal. Heavy metal guitars mixed in. So this stuff is really awesome, potent stuff. If you can kind of get over the industrial aspect, it does hit hard, a lot of this stuff. So I definitely think it's an album worth revisiting and kind of digging into the deep cuts and deep tracks. And I don't know if it'll zoom in on it's a black case special edition.
Oh wow, yeah.
But definitely awesome freaking album. I love Danzig. Actually, I actually put the CD. I was listening to the actual CD, so the CD's in my CD player. But I was listening to it earlier this afternoon. But 666 Satan's Child, because a lot of people just kind of know those Danzig albums and they kind of give up on this industrial. But I definitely think this one is worth revisiting. This album's awesome. So
that's strong.
And because it's funny because you brought up. Oh, see you, man. Thanks for showing up. It's funny because you brought up Caius and Queens of the Stone Age.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks for showing up, man. Yeah, thanks. You brought up Queens of the Stone Age and Caius for a second, but the drummer, after this album, a couple albums after this, the drummer, Joey C., he joined Queens of the Stone Age later down the road. Joey C's been involved in a lot of stuff. Joey C. Later joined Queens of the Stone Age, so I was making connections with that. Caius, Queens of the Stone Age, blah blah. But love my Danzig. I finally was able to get him on one of my picks, one of my more favorite artists. Cool stuff. So Brian, you're up. Your last pick, sorry.
So my last pick is a band called Reveal. They're from Massachusetts. With their debut album Waste in 1999. They're in the same vein as old school Limp Bizkit, and I know Limp Bizkit gets a lot of hate, but I think Reveal is a lot better than Limp Bizkit. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I was trying to track down some newer albums that I've been overlooking and things like that. And I was trying to track down that Reveal album. It's not easy to get. much like the Quicksand Slip. I'm trying to get that Quicksand Slip album. That Quicksand Slip album's not easy to get.
If you can get the record, you get an extra song.
Everyone's always after that Quicksand Slip. That's hugely a cult underground album, and I've actually noticed a huge resurgence for people collecting new metal as well. Like, because typically you think, oh, I should be able to find that stuff for a couple bucks, but no, man. Like, even this obscure kind of off the beaten track, even new metal stuff is becoming highly valuable and highly collectible and stuff like that. Like Brian mentioned, Reveal. Like, you can't just like find that in the dollar bin. Like, it's actually worth like $10-15 sort of thing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
So there's even like a resurgence for these kind of new metal. People are collecting these really obscure bands and things like that. Yeah, it's definitely cool one to revisit. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Reveal.
I've never heard of them. No, I'm from Boston. I've never heard of them.
Yeah, we'll do our checks. No one's ever heard of it, so he's talking to you guys. You guys need to revisit that or check it out at least, right? Maybe not visit, but maybe visit it for the first time ever. At least visit it at some point. And there we go. So Ryan, looks like you're closing out the show with your last pick.
Yeah. Before I get into my last pick, I do want to quickly mention some albums. I pulled out every 90s album that I have here. I wanted to quickly, briefly mention them as quickly as I can. AC/DC Big Gun single, Arion the Final Experiment, and Into the Electric Castle. Collective Soul, Hints, Allegations, and Things Left Unsaid, Self-Titled 95, and Discipline Breakdown, Creed, My Own Prison, their debut, Dream Theater, Awake, A Change of Seasons, and Metropolis Part 2. Yes, I'm trying to go as quickly as I can. Iron Maiden, No Prayer for the Dying, and Virtual 11, which I think is a piece of shit. Megadeth, Countdown to Extinction, Metallica, Black Album, Garage Inc., S&M, 1, Mr. Big, Lean Into It, Rolling Stones, Voodoo Lounge, and Bridges to Babylon, Slipknot, Self-Titled, Stain, Dysfunction, you mentioned it earlier, Jamie, Tool, Undertow, and Transatlantic's debut album, Christmas Eve, and Other Stories. Now, the final one, and y'all were talking about Tool earlier, and I know I was going to mention Tool at some point. And originally I had Undertow on there, but I figured this one's the better one. Anima.
Yeah, nice.
First one with Justin Chancellor, and when he makes a contribution on the album, man, he brings it with, I think, his first song that he did when he joined the band, 46 and 2. But every song on this album, it ain't perfect. I've done the retrospective for it. The only thing for me that I do not like are the interludes. Those are the only reasons. They would perfect the interludes on Lateralis, and that, I think, is a masterpiece. That is a perfect 10 out of 10. But this one, they were trying to do that. It's just like, it's like you take Disgustipated and you put it into smaller songs, and they aren't really that good. But some of the songs on here, the first 3 tracks, I forgot what they were called. I can't remember from the top of my head, but 46 and 2 is a great one. The title track is also a great one because I do like that, the title track of freaking Third Eye, prying open my third eye. You got Lateralis. Nice. I got that on vinyl too. Yeah, Anima, it's a great direction to get into the prog stuff for them because this is later. They were transitioning into the proggy stuff that they would later do on Lateralis. But yeah. Freaking Anima, great album. That's and it's my final pick in this.
Okay. Cool stuff. I would have went with as you know it, the demo. I would have went with the demo, the Tool demo.
Oh, yeah, the zip code demo.
That's what people need to revisit, the Tool demo.
Oh, and Opiate.
Opiate, yeah.
Opiate's a banger, too.
It is, yeah.
You can still buy that record for $6. You can still find it. It's still
I actually own the demo on vinyl.
Yeah. Wow.
It was just, I bought it at like a record convention. It was just like, oh, okay, why not?
Yeah, people are going nuts over their bootlegs, but I mean, even the stuff that they legitimately released, they're just asking too much money, man, too much grease in the wheel with that. But they bought back all their licensing and their rights, so they'll be releasing all these records again pretty soon with Beat Press.
Tool vinyl's not cheap.
If anybody had the Tool demo,
it'll be out there. They'll be out
if
there.
anybody had the Tool demo on tape, it's worth like $700. It's worth like over $500 if anybody had the Tool demo.
Nice.
But has anybody got some honorable mentions? I know I got 3 here. Maybe I'll just run through mine. Maybe before you guys catch yours. But I was gonna think about showing the Loudness album from 1992. Loudness. It's just called Loudness from 1992. So people might have heard the name Loudness. Japanese heavy metal band, but then by the 90s, people are just gone. They just give up on that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you, this album from 1992, Loudness, is a great kick-ass return. Don't go on about that. So Discharge's return, 1991, Massacre Divine's kick-ass crossover. The vocals might be a little harsh for a first-time listener, but I like my crossover threat. I'm not too fussy with vocals, so just give me those not nasty raw vocals. I'm not fussy. So Discharge, killer thrashy album. And then I was just going to throw out Napalm Death Diatribes from 1995. Not brutally pummeling death metal. It's kind of that groovy or thrashy death metal, but that's really cool stuff, right? Kind of like the groovy, thrashy death metal. So I think that's worth revisit. No, it's not like Scum, like, grindy Scum type stuff from their first album or nothing like that, but they're far removed from that, should I say. But this is a really cool, like a death thrash album almost, you'd say, like a groovy thrash, but still definitely death metal. You say death metal vocals and there's death metal drumming, so it's definitely death metal, but it's kind of a little groovier and thrashier, so I definitely think that's worth revisiting. Diatribes.
Yeah, I have a couple of mentions there, but I'm not going to get going.
Yeah, I'm late for you, sorry. Yeah, it's late for you. You're, for me, I'm West Coast, but he's 4 hours ahead of me, so wherever time we're at, he's 4 hours ahead.
There's an album that Brian already talked about, the X Factor. Okay. X Factor is one of my honorable mentions, and this album right here, Exodus, Force of Heaven.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
There's some people saying, no, I don't ever want to revisit that, but I think it's decent too, yeah.
It's a decent album.
Yeah, it's not as bad as people are saying, really.
It's good.
It's not as bad as people are saying. Although, wasn't there a goofy cover in the middle, somewhere in the middle area? Isn't there a goofy cover or something like that?
And for what? For Exodus?
Yeah, there's always those albums where there's a goofy cover in the middle.
Yeah, well, that one was goofy.
I think there's a goofy cover track on that.
Yeah, that one was goofy. It was a goofy cover.
Oh, I think I meant, isn't there a cover song? And don't they do a goofy cover song?
Oh, yes, yeah. What was that?
Anyway, yeah, Brian, you got some picks there? Great. Some, yeah. Awesome.
The original, right?
Yeah, I got that one too.
The only CDs I haven't broken, was the hinge. It's the original case.
Good, guys. I'm out.
I got stomped.
Later, Dave.
See you, Ryan, buddy. See you, Jamie.
Oh, thanks a lot for showing up. Thanks for being around.
Thanks for coming along.
Yeah, if you can head her, you can head her. Yeah, absolutely.
See you guys later.
Sleep.
Holy Mountain.
Where's my biohazard?
And I picked Power Man 5000.
That's a cool
I'm heading out. I'm heading out. Talk to y'all later.
Orange 9mm. See ya.
Which one of you guys? I got that power on. Anyway.
Picking up more picks.
Yeah, I was just gonna because you had that original Biohazard case. I was like, I got that one too.
Yeah. I don't know. People are paying for it because I guess the hinge on it breaks. Or if you don't take care of it.
Right. Yeah. But then I listened to this recently, and I had it sitting on my floor there. But I also got the purple Allison chains.
Right. I got that
the purple case. So I got the purple one. All right, cool. There we go. There, everybody took off. We made our picks, and there we go. Thanks to everyone for doing the show, showing up. Thanks for anyone for watching that watches in the future, watches live, all that good stuff.
Thanks for having
Subscribe, subscribe, mosh, and we'll say our goodbyes and get out of here.
Yep.
Peace.
Hit the like and subscribe. We'll see you again.